Dr. Vivek Kaul, welcome to India Narrative Talks. It is good to have someone from the Indian diaspora who lives in Oxford and keeps an eye on what is happening in all of UK. So
Thank
to
you very
begin with, can
much.
you tell us what is happening? How is the weather and what is happening in the UK?
Rahulji, thank you for calling me to your excellent program. Weather is brilliant these days. It's autumn, and about 20-21 degrees is the highest temperature, and night is about 9. And we are very warm these days because our own diaspora kid, Rishi Sunak, is the Prime Minister, which I always predicted, as you know, from my Facebook. I was telling in August as well that he will come back. There's no way anyone can stop. He was the sharpest pencil in the box. So he had to come back, and that's what happened. Now we have got a very erudite person as our Prime Minister. He will steer Britain out of the current problems it is facing economically.
Also, tell me, there was this very strong and slightly unusual protest by the Hindus in the UK right outside the BBC headquarters. Can you tell me what is happening and why did the Indian diaspora have to protest outside the BBC?
Thank you, Rahul. I was one of the organizers for this protest. The protest was basically, we have seen decades and decades of Hindu-phobic and India-phobic news emanating from BBC. So when I was young, maybe in 70s, if we had to confirm any news, the authentic portal of call used to be BBC World Service. In so much that any Indian news, almost every Indian used to go to BBC to confirm it, whether it be fall of Dhaka or the announcement or proclamation of emergency in 1975 or India's atomic explosions. Everything was reconfirmed from BBC. That was the standard of BBC. That was the respect BBC had in India. And following decades in maybe 80s or 90s, it started painting India in a very negative way. Whenever we used to send satellites in the orbit, which is a rare feat by a developing country, it's almost the only developing country which can vie for this. They used to always show that and then show extreme poverty, squalor, beggars, saying that does India need satellites? As if they used to correlate poverty with our growth. So we were not happy. Every Indian would not they never showed homelessness in England or Europe with their pieces of news. Why should Britain be in EU when it can't look after its own homeless and show the homeless? I've seen there's a lot of homelessness in Western countries. I used to feed them also. Many times I go out and give them food. So they used to have a complete bias against India. Same bias was against religion, which I profess faith is Hinduism. They used to always portray Hindus as in a crowd, chanting and showing trishuls and all that. They never used to paint Hindus in a good light. And they used to say that India is become Islamophobic and all that. Their news had a huge bias. They never used to report the truth. They were always skewing it against Hindus and against India. So we thought it is high time. And after this Leicester riots also, they were painting it in a very bad way, one-sided way. We thought it is high time that we go to BBC headquarters, where the BBC broadcasting in the world started in 1920s, the headquarters in central London, and protest against their reportage, and also give them a memorandum where we have told them that they are about their bias, and also said that we would like to meet their Director General, Tim Davies, for a meeting regarding India phobia and Hindu phobia. So that was a reason for it.
Right, Dr. Kaul. But when I hear you speak, I also notice that you are talking about the last, let us say, 30, 40, 50 years of a certain portrayal of India and Hindus.
Right.
So why this angst now, 50 years later, maybe, such a long time later? Was it something that triggered off this protest now?
Yes, correct. It's a good question, Rahul. We were, we generally Hindus or what you call as Indians are very peace-loving. We do our job, go to our families, go for the professional excellence. But in the last 1 month or so, we saw the Leicester riots, or as they call riots, or one-sided something. And they painted it, skewed it against Hindus, saying that Hindus are doing this, the mobs are Hindus, while they were showing that the other side was bringing the flag down from a temple and putting things to flame. So they were completely biased in those news. We thought it is enough is enough. So we and our few friends joined hands and said, let us do it. At least we have to tell BBC that these things won't go on. Though the investigations for the Leicester riots are still being undertaken, but the reportage of BBC was very biased. So we thought that it is high time that we should assemble outside BBC headquarters, the global headquarters, and tell the Director General these things won't be tolerated.
What kind of a response did you get from the BBC? And would you have any idea what did the Guardian say last month when the Hindu people met the Guardian last month?
Yeah, yesterday it was all they had planned it. They had their own security people. It was a drill. They said that somebody will come at around 12:30 to take the memorandum from us and speak to us. So that gentleman did come at 12:30 sharp. We had an interaction with him. Told we have a video also which you can put in that we spoke to him, said that why we are here and what do we expect from the BBC Director General. So he was very polite. He took the memorandum. He said it will be the first thing on his desk on Monday morning. And he is also very hopeful that he will call us for talks where we'll sit across the table and tell him that, about their anti-India bias and Hindu phobia. So we are very hopeful. And if it doesn't, you always have a plan B. If it doesn't work, then we will approach the government. Though BBC is a very independent corporation, and its money comes from the money they take from every household for the TV license. But they do come under one specific Department of Culture. So we will escalate it to the minister at the Department of Culture, and that is how the escalation will go up. If they do not give us, legitimate answers or legitimate inquiry or work with us together, how to remove India phobia and Hindu phobia from the editorial desk, basically.
Can we have some more insights into how the Indian diaspora is integrated into the British society, how it has contributed to the British society and the British economy? A few examples will help.
We are only 2.5% of the population, but our contribution to GDP is almost 6 to 7% or even more. Somebody says 9. And we bring about 50 billion money to the economy. And we employ a huge number of people of every background. And there are a lot of Indian millionaires because the education level is very high. They are very entrepreneurial. And we have integrated very well into the British society. The British people themselves, the indigenous whites, do recognize us as a different entity. They know that they are Indians, they are Bangladeshis, they are Pakistanis. And our almost education level or our house owning level is more than the whites, almost more than the whites. We almost 70 to 80% of Indians own their own houses as compared to 30 to less than 30% of our neighboring countries in UK. So we are very high achievers. Whether it be any profession, business people, millionaires, doctors, lawyers, chartered accountants, we are at the top of the range, So we have, and English do know this. They know that how hardworking we are. And it was almost, I think, when Jeffrey Archer went to India in 2007 or 8 to promote his book, he was the first person. He was in Gurgaon selling his, autographing his book. He says, by the end of 10 or 15 years, we'll have an Indian as a British Prime Minister. That is how he was respected in Indian society. They all knew that Indians are coming. Cameroon said the same thing about during Modi's visit 7 years back, that there will be an Indian Prime Minister soon. So they know our contribution. They respect our contribution, and we really respect it. The workplace respects us. Wherever we go, we are really respected as they are very high achievers and they work for the country. don't do any, danga fasad and all that. That is our label.
So if I may ask, uh, when the Indian diaspora is so well settled, highly educated, uh, uh, contributing to the British society, making money for themselves, how is it that something like this communal violence erupted in Leicester? Is it a reflection of the Indian society, the Indians there, or was there something else to it?
There must be something else to it, because Leicester has been a very success story. The history of Leicester has been a very welcoming place. When the Asians were kicked out of Kenya and Uganda, especially Uganda in 1972, they all were, Leicester was the only place which offered them good refuge after they got British passports. So they have integrated well into Leicester, and they are very prominent. The whole Leicester economy is in the hands of Indians and all that. So this must be a triggering something else, because I can't say much as the investigation is ongoing. It looks like a one-off, because Leicester is a very famous Indian diaspora city.
Right. So towards the end, what would you suggest? Now, you're settled in Oxford, you travel frequently to London, you are a doctor, so you're interacting with a very wide spectrum of the British society, and then you see something like Leicester happen. What would you advise? What is your advice for the British government and the British society here?
British government has done a lot about radicalization in this country. They see that the radicalization has come to a stop in university campuses, the cities, and all that. So that and the present Prime Minister, I asked him some questions during hustings about the radicalization. So they will be working with the society to see that radicalization of any religion. I'm not pointing about a particular religion, comes to a low, and they have interfaith dialogues. The interfaith committee will start dialogues with each other, and our King Charles is also a big champion of interfaith dialogue, and he is very highly respected. I'm sure he will also put his good offices into an interfaith religious dialogues. That is the answer. Because all these mobs or something, they are all controlled. But if there is a inter-religious harmony, that is the only solution. I can't see any other solution to this issue, which happened in Leicester, and thankfully it got contained within 2-3 weeks. It didn't spread to the rest of the country, like Birmingham, Manchester, or Bradford, or Leeds. So the interfaith dialogue should be initiated by the government, and that is the way forward.
Dr. Kaul, thank you very much for being with India Narrative Talks.